Sue in our chat room just posted an old New York Times piece that this is from 1981, November of 1981. So this would have been at the end of Reagan's first year in office, and it's by Terry Herndon. Now, I was just, we just had this debate about public schools, and I was just talking about, Reaganomics and how. Listen to this. This is the New York Times. You can Google this easily. It's the headline is public education a casualty of Reaganomics? The author is Terry Herndon, Herndon. It was published November 15, 1981 in the New York Times. As the price of Reaganomics becomes clear, Americans are becoming edgy. Teachers are downright nervous. We who are the true believers in public education are nearly frantic. In the big budget fight of 1980, we saw the president strive for 30% reduction in federal aid to education, but were heartened as Congress pared the cut to less than 10%. We saw the horrendous cut in subsidies for school lunches and thought, well, the president just doesn't understand. When the Congress went home, we traveled the nation and found school districts buffeted by the quadruple whammy of federal cuts, state tax ceilings, loss of state revenue from taxes, and hostility to property taxes. They responded by laying off personnel, enlarging classes, simplifying curriculum, using obsolete material, and taking other steps, all of which reduced parent and student satisfaction. Remember my referring to David Stockman and the strategy had a name, actually. It's called Starve the Beast. You starve the beast until it's broken, then you say, hey, it's broken, and then you say, here's a replacement for it, and it's going to make somebody a whole bunch of money, but it's a good replacement. Okay, back in Washington, November 1981, first year of the Reagan presidency, the president has now demanded new cuts beyond his original proposal. He's called for the elimination of the Department of Education, has reiterated his support for tax credits for private school tuition. Public education is not an inadvertent casualty of Reaganomics, but rather economics has become the weapon used on a chosen target. The administration's disdain for public enterprise now aims at the public school system. And it goes on, quote, Milton Friedman, the economist, asserts the public schools are an island of socialism and a free market sea. End of quote. The new right is full of ultra-conservatives who believe with Mr. Friedman that public schools threaten the no-holds-barred free enterprise they see as the true essence of American life. And then they go to the Heritage Foundation. Homogenized this reaction to public education earlier this year in a sophisticated briefing book for the incoming Reagan administration. David Stockman, the director of the budget, quickly hailed the Heritage Foundation's recommendations as, quote, a blueprint for the policy options available to us if we are to meet the challenges of the 1980s, end quote. Ed Meese III said he was going to rely heavily on it. Consider the impact of the Heritage Foundation's game plan for education. And then here's the bullet points from the Heritage Foundation's game plan for education, 1981. This is the New York Times. Bullet point, eliminate federal support for public education. The president wants to wipe out more than 90% of current federal education spending by 1984. Next one, use the presidential pulpit to inflame passions regarding prayer in the schools, sex education, censorship, creationism, and other issues that complicate the politics of publicly financed schooling. This adds to dissatisfaction. Number 3, grant tax credits for tuition to private schools. Tax credits are the keystone to establishing a subsidized, free market, in parentheses, private school system that will leave the public schools with all the problems and none of the resources. And number 4, destroy the Department of Education and thereby assure that there will never be a serious institutional advocate for public education within the federal infrastructure. He writes, the Reagan attack on the public school system enjoys popularity with much of his zealous constituency, even if it's only a small minority of the American people. However, with the power of the presidency working for them, this minority is a substantial contemporary threat to our public school tradition. And, must be exposed and it must be stopped. This is the deeper meaning of the Reagan administration's education agenda. Amen. Brilliant piece. Is public education a casualty of Reaganomics by Terry Herndon in November 15, 1981, New York Times. And I was just, running from like 30, 40-year-old memories of that era. And here Sue found it and laid it out for me. Thank you, Sue. Or if somebody else in the chat room found it, thank you. I think it was Sue, but it's just amazing.